Hey, how's it going, guys? I hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to be talking about the most annoying situations that we've probably all been in. Now, starting off with number one, we've all been in this situation where you're out in public and all of a sudden you have to use the bathroom. And nobody really likes using public bathrooms, but when you have to, you have to. Now, using the bathroom in public shouldn't be that awkward because you're in a closed-in stall with a door and a lock. The part that makes it awkward is when people come up and try to get in. Not get in as if they see you in there and they're like, oh, let me come join this guy. I mean, hopefully not, but when I say that, the thing I'm really talking about is the fact that the way they check the stall is by banging on it or trying to push in the door. And I don't really think of myself as a claustrophobic person, but that definitely changes when there's somebody banging on the door of the stall I'm in. And I don't know if these people are doing it on purpose or what, but for some reason they always sit there doing it for like way longer than they should. I think by the third second, you should know that the door's not going to open anytime soon. And the worst part is that you're just sitting in there all silently while they're over there knocking on your door. What are you supposed to do in that situation? And after that 3 seconds, it really does start to feel like they're trying to get in because at this point you should realize that somebody's in here. I promise you, it's not a test or a secret club where only the most dedicated get to use the public bathroom. It's already a pretty shameful experience to be using a public bathroom in general, but much less feeling like you're about to be attacked. Seriously though, what are you supposed to say? Because somebody's in here sounds pretty polite for somebody that's been banging at the door right in front of me for 5 minutes. And another awkward thing kind of related to that is when you're using the bathroom in a restaurant or whatever and you see somebody else walk in and they use the bathroom but they don't wash their hands and they just leave. Because if there's ever a time to not wash your hands when you leave the bathroom, it's definitely not at a restaurant. And I don't have any proof of this, but I'm like 99% sure that the same kind of people that don't wash their hands when they're out to eat are also the people that like to double dip in the group food. That shit's disgusting. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is probably the most common on this list, and it's eye contact. If all's well in the world, eye contact and the bathroom stuff shouldn't happen at the same time. To be honest with you, if it does, you might as well just open the stall door and let him in, because it's not really going to get any worse than that. By far the worst part of eye contact is the fact that it's unavoidable and you need to do it basically every day. You're supposed to make eye contact when you have a conversation with somebody, and it's even considered rude if you don't. But for someone like me, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because if I make eye contact with somebody for too long, I end up laughing. Honestly, it's mostly because of how awkward it is, because trying to listen to them while they talk is impossible. The whole time I'm just thinking about how weird it is that I'm staring into their eyes the whole time. And if you're in that situation, trying to look away is only going to make it worse because now you actually look awkward. The most awkward time for eye contact is when you're getting a lecture, whether it be at school, work, or from your parents. Like I said, it's seen as disrespectful if you don't make eye contact, so you get yelled at if you look away. Even though, like I said, if I make eye contact, sometimes I start laughing, and it's hard not to when the person you're making eye contact with is yelling at you. And I've tried to explain it before, but nobody's really gonna believe you when they're already yelling at you and you start laughing in their face. And from their perspective, I honestly get it, but I'm not laughing at them, I'm more just laughing because of how awkward I feel. Also, I never know which eye I'm really supposed to be looking at, so most of the time I just end up switching between them every few seconds, which can't feel comfortable. Like, if I was in a conversation with somebody and I noticed them looking at both of my eyes out of order, I'd be really confused. The thing is though, even if they were doing that, I wouldn't notice because I'm too worried about what I'm doing. Most of the time, I barely even get to listen to what they're saying. Alright, for our next topic, we're going to be talking about elevators. I'm going to try to keep this short because there's not really much to say. I just feel like elevators are top 3 awkward places of all time. Don't get me wrong, elevators are great, but when you're alone, getting on one can be kind of weird. For some reason, there's a silent agreement on an elevator between everybody on it that nobody's going to talk or try to be loud. And I can appreciate the silence too, but it gets to a point, you know? Like, obviously, I don't want to hear somebody's loud conversation while I'm on the elevator. Nowadays, elevators don't even have music, so it's like dead silent in there. It's the weirdest kind of stress on a silent elevator because you're worried about every single small noise you make. Like, yeah guys, sorry my phone vibrated, it won't happen again though. And obviously nobody's really gonna call you out if you make noise on an elevator. Can you even imagine that? Like, hey, this guy's phone vibrated, let's all fucking point and laugh at him. It's like a weird sense of shame though, like you broke a rule. Or if you get on with somebody that doesn't understand social etiquette. I'm not exactly in the mood to continue our conversation when we're in a cramped box with 3 people in it that we don't know. Even if you manage though to have a silent elevator ride, sometimes there will still be a moment of tension when the doors are about to open but they take a little bit too long. That half a second is all it takes for your brain to start thinking. Like, damn, remember that one news story we heard a few years ago where a group of people got trapped on an elevator? That's when you start wishing you took the stairs and then you have to get ready to get comfortable with the strangers that you're gonna be stuck with. The funny thing is, right as that happens, you can hear everybody at the same time let out a sigh of relief. And you know what, this one just came to mind too, but you know when you're late to class and you walk in and everybody's staring at you? And it's really because everybody's so bored in class that you walking to your seat is the most interesting thing thing to them. It's funny though, because that and the elevator make you very self-conscious about what you're doing and how you move. Like, you finally get to your seat or get off the elevator and you're like, what was I even doing with my hands that whole time? The good thing about those though, at least, is it's just in your head and nobody's really judging you. This last thing we're going to talk about is the exact opposite of that. When you're driving, you're always being judged by every single other person on the road. Honestly, it makes sense though, because oops, sorry I bumped into you isn't the same as a car crash. Because a car crash, you can either get injured or thousands of dollars in damages. A lot of people like to say that they're really good drivers, and I might not have the most experience, but I have enough to know that a lot of those people are liars. Actually, liars is the wrong word because they do genuinely believe what they're saying. The right word would be idiots. Everybody on the road is an idiot. Which might sound a little bit harsh, but when you actually drive for a while, you get to realize what I mean. The awkward part of driving though is when you make a mistake and you become the idiot that you always complain about. Everybody makes mistakes, but on the road there's a lot more consequences, which is why every car that you can find comes with a horn. And that's specifically what I wanted to mention here, because getting honked at might be genuinely the worst feeling of all time. Not only because you know you made a mistake and that you messed up and you probably already feel bad, but because of how loud it is, you know everybody around you heard that. And it's somewhat the same as the last two in the sense of you feel like everybody's attention is always on you. Except this time it really is on you. Not much you can do at that point though, just hope your car has tints so nobody can stare at you. This driving stuff just made me realize I could low-key make a whole video on just this. A lot of people at these big ages don't even have their license yet, so I could give some insight as to how crazy it is. Because honestly, as fun and relaxing driving is, it's also pretty stressful because like I just said, a lot of people really don't know how to drive. Or maybe they do know how and they just don't care. Who knows at this point. Alright, that's basically all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed day.